just as mine has. It's been a tough day. A few not so pleasant news, but life must go on. Sometimes you win some, you lose some, and you take the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you just have to trudge on sometimes. So I hope that your day has been a good one, and that in spite of everything that's happening all around, you're making the best of life itself. So it's good to be back with you and sharing with Yemi. My guest today is a life coach, a life expert who is going to be sharing with us how to live a better life, how to live a life of um, better expectations for ourselves, especially at this really challenging times. There are too many people who are giving up, too many people who feel lost and who feel on their own and who feel down and who feel like they've got nothing. Some feel that they're losing everything, but really and truly they're not. It's just a mental mindset. And so today, my guest will be sharing with us some of the great things that we could do to bring ourselves back into a better state of mind and health and well-being, and begin to see life more positively. So if you've joined us today, I want to say welcome to you. Welcome, Pat. I can see you. Welcome, Robin. I can see you here. Thank you for joining me. Welcome, DJ. Great to have you here. Welcome from all the different parts of the world, wherever you're joining us from. It's another beautiful day, and it's great to be alive. And I'm hoping that you will be able to take something with you today when we're done this episode of the show. So today we're going to be sharing about living a better life and taking lessons from this period, taking those lessons and putting them into good use, looking deliberately for the positive, even within a negative, looking for a positive within a negative. It's literally like turning your lemon into lemonade. What can you do with this difficult times? I've had so many people talk about how they're feeling, and feelings will come and go. But the reality is, if we're still here, we need to be able to do something with our lives. And those feelings that we're feeling right now will pass. So it's what we can do, the positive that we can pull out of this, all of the negativity around us today, and make a better life. So without wasting much time, I would love to welcome my guest today. Um, she is a beautiful life coach and life specialist, Kimberly Wells. Kim, you're welcome to sharing with Yemi.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here today. Kim lives in Dallas in the States, and Kim has been doing so much to support people all around her. Kim is working around having a positive mindset and helping people, supporting people to stay in that frame of mind. Kim, tell people a little about yourself and how you got here, where you're at today, this phase of your life where you can literally support other people.
Um, well, um, after a series of life events, I would say, is what got me to a place of gratitude. And that's what's gotten me to where I am right now. But that's also what has landed me in the space that I'm in, and how I'm able to stay stable when I think that I have it bad. I look at people, or I put myself in a position to help other people, to remind me of just how blessed and fortunate I am.
Hmm. So, would you say that life has thrown so much negativity at you over the past few years?
I wouldn't call it negativity. I like to it because it's really a play on how you look at things.
Mm,
So what I would say is, I feel like God has given me challenges to see how well I can handle them.
mm,
Um, Things that most people from the outside looking in would appear to be negative. I feel like, okay, here's my next challenge. I have another challenge, and if I can overcome it, if I can come that challenge, then I can move forward.
Okay, we've just lost Kim there, and we'll have Kim back. Hopefully, she'll just click on the link and we'll have Kim back there. But Kim was sharing how she's been able to look at all of the difficulties that have come her way as challenges rather than as problems. And we all have those moments. We have those moments when things come at us and we see them as problems all the time. Really and truly, it's about how we see the challenges that come at us. What do we do with them? How do we see them? Do we go into a state of panic? Immediately something happens. Do we just go into a panic mode and we're thinking, oh my goodness, this has just happened. What am I going to do with this? Or do we decide in our heads, okay, this is another excuse for me to win another battle? Is that the way we respond? It can be difficult. It's not easy for everyone to respond the same way. I mean, that is understandable. We're all from different backgrounds, and we were raised differently. We have different experiences of life. But the reality is, the one thing that binds us all together, we will all have challenges. Our challenges may be different, but we will all have challenges. And somewhere along the line, those challenges will become either victories. Yes, we have Kim back here. Those challenges will become either victories for us or they will remain challenges. So, and that's what Kim is sharing there. So, Kim, yes, it's great to have you back.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No
The
worries at
connection
all.
just went crazy.
This technology, it happens all the time, especially
It's
now. Yeah, especially now.
one of those challenges we were just talking about.
Absolutely. Especially now that our lives are virtual.
Yes, a lot of people are pulling from the Wi-Fi in different directions, way more than usual. But what I was saying was, for me, it's more about how it's not what you go through; it's how you handle it. Because if you can't handle the small things, how can you be blessed with something bigger?
Mm.
One of the things that I deal with right now, 4 years ago, my son was paralyzed, and this was after I moved him from a place that I considered to be rough. And I'm thinking, we're gonna go to this new place. We're gonna start over. We're gonna have this great life, and I got the dream job that I had anticipated, that I moved for. I landed that job. A year later, my son was paralyzed. The company closed its doors, and from the outside looking in, that's something that most people would say. Well, everybody did say, or what are you going to do now? You're going to go back? And it's like, no, my intention on leaving was to provide my kids with a better life.
So you
So
live in Dallas, just so people know you live in
I
Dallas.
live in Dallas, but I'm a
Yeah.
St. Louis, Missouri native.
Okay. Very good. And
So
when you say your son was paralyzed, what happened? Was it an accident?
it was a car accident. He was ejected out the back of a pickup truck
Wow.
back in 2015. And it's what made it ironic. I left St. Louis. Most of the world heard about the riots of Ferguson, which is I'm a resident of Ferguson. I was a resident of Ferguson. I grew up in Ferguson, went to school there. Used to love my community, but after the riots of Ferguson, I just decided that I wanted something different for my children.
Mm.
So our different became when my son became paralyzed, the new norm, which is what we're going into with this pandemic. My new normal just changed.
Mm.
Life didn't get worse for me. I have been taking care of my son his whole life, but we had a new normal versus when I said I wanted our life to change, I probably should have been a little more specific when I told God that because our life did change dramatically.
Wow.
And it wasn't what I anticipated, but it's like, hey, I still have him here every day. I do what I can to keep him out the hospital. We just have a new normal,
Mm.
but we're very blessed. We're very fortunate. So it's all about how you look at it, in my
Wow.
opinion.
Wow. So from that background, before I go on, perhaps we're going to try and see if we can get your screen stable. Is there a
Okay,
way we can do that?
let's see.
Okay.
I've switched to my cell phone because my screen.
Oh, this is brilliant. You're great.
Okay,
This is
okay.
fine. Very good. So you're free to speak now. You don't
Okay.
have to hold it down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm so used to talking with my
I
hands.
know. So I needed to set you free.
Okay,
So
there we
there
go.
you were, coming from a space of a great job, moving to a better environment that you'd planned, and then
Mhm.
suddenly, boom, the accident happened, the
And
business, the
life
company
changed in a
closed
matter of
down, everything
seconds.
changed. And it's almost literally like what we're going through now,
Yeah,
everything suddenly changed, and people, there are a lot of people who are in a state of panic. I mean,
yeah,
understandably so, because nobody ever knew that this was going to happen, really and truly. Even for those who had an inclination that it might happen, um, no one thought it would be something of this magnitude. So let's take from that experience you had when your son had that accident and you lost your job. How did you get out of that feeling, the initial feeling of what is this?
yeah. So initially, honestly, when my son had his accident, I'm a little bit different. I don't run off as much emotion as some people,
Mm,
and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. So it doesn't mean if you run off of emotion that you're bad or anything like that.
mm.
But my mindset changed immediately the minute I found out. Before I even saw him in the hospital, I'm like, oh, I'm not going back to work.
So
People
even before
that
you went to the hospital, you knew straight away that you wouldn't be going back to work.
Yeah, the office wasn't closed at that point yet, and we did not know what was on the horizon for the office. I knew that my child needed me, and that was
Mm,
all I knew. And so even like now, one of the things that I tell people is like, I was just recently laid off again last month. It took me
mm,
4 years to face that door of going back into a corporate environment, and when I did, I was one of the first people to go when this pandemic hit.
mm,
So but what it did is it taught me to look more into myself, to look more into my natural resources, and so now that's how I started my journey of becoming a life coach along the path of meeting you. Um, I look to my natural resource to see how can I survive, what can I bring to the table, how can I help other people while helping myself, so that I could actually be the mom that I wanted to be for my family and still be a professional.
mm. That's one big challenge that a number of people will have now.
Mhm.
Tapping into their existing skills and
Mhm.
using that, seeing that as a resource to perhaps do things differently. And it's a mindset thing. Sometimes we're locked in that
Yeah.
mindset of, oh, this is what I studied, and this is what I can deliver based on what I've studied in the university or in college, or what I've been doing for the entire time that I've been working. So
Right.
now, how do I switch from certainty to uncertainty? You know,
I mean, it's not even just college, to be honest. To me, for me, like coming to Nigeria, going to Nigeria changed my life for the best forever, because I was able to see people that didn't go to college have amazing talents that they had maybe acquired from a mother, from a sister, and they were using those skills to survive. And so a
so that
lot
was
of us
your
have.
first trip to Africa.
Hmm. Say that again.
Was that your first trip to Africa?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, back in 2018, my first time going, and up until now, I've been able to go every year. I'm not gonna go this year, but I look forward to going back next year. I already have something on the books for next year, and so but to be able to see what it was like in Nigeria, to see how the people live. I went to Nigeria and I went to Egypt both that year.
Mm,
And to see people just pulling from their natural talents that didn't have the same resources that many of us in the Western worlds have, or and in Europe. We have a lot of things to be grateful for. And I think that having a spirit of gratitude is probably one of the best things that I can say at a time like this. I've actually bumped up my volunteering since I have additional time, because I feel better when I'm productive. Not
very.
to mention, most people, if you can make someone's day without hurting you, it actually makes you feel good. And
Mm,
if more people kind of saw that, like I saw a challenge online recently, where if you're in a position to go to the grocery store and you have elderly in your neighborhood that can't,
mm,
just seeing that expression on their face to just take maybe a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, just something small. Um, that's a really feel good thing. If you're just staying in the house and you're not being productive and you're letting that negative thoughts consume you, it will, and it will take over. But it's like people have to understand that we have the power is really within us.
Mm, absolutely. And that's a really powerful thing you've said there, especially for this time. Uh, I always say you can't blame people uh,
Hmm.
for the choices they make sometimes because you don't know their story. You don't know where they're coming from, you know. But the one thing that you can say to people is, well, it doesn't actually have to be that way because you can make another choice. The fact
Yes.
that there's always the choices on the table and you can pick from the choices that are available to you. So for people who are feeling a bit low at this time and who are afraid, because so many people are afraid, and that's the truth of
Yeah.
the matter.
I
That
mean, the unknown is scary.
people are scared.
It could
It's
either
scary.
be scary or it could be adventurous. I found out over the last couple of years that I'm an adventurous. I'm way more adventurous than I thought I ever could be.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be scary, but you can choose to make it an adventure because that's what our childhood was after all. Look at how much stuff we didn't know when we were growing up
Mm-hmm.
and how fun it was to learn new things or to unlock. It's almost like unlocking these secrets and these different codes. Like something as simple as I have a young lady that I mentor. The young lady, I keep her baby right now because she's not as fortunate as I am. She has to go out and work during the pandemic. So she has a 1 year old, and I've been in quarantine with a toddler for
Mm.
the last 2 months, which has been extremely different for me.
Wow.
And so the toddler will be going back home this weekend. And I told her, I said, look, I know that you're in a situation where you're going to need extra money and you're not going to be able to do all that you've been doing while she's been gone. But they're vegan. They live a plant-based lifestyle. And
Mm.
I told her, I said, when you first started, I tasted the food you were feeding her and it was horrible. And I mean, it was bad. I said, but I've been tasting it before I give her anything. I always taste it. I said, and you've gotten significantly better. Have
Mm.
you considered cooking in big batches because she does meal prep and she drops it at my door once a week and then she leaves. I wait about 10 minutes and then I bring the food in just to be safe since she works with the public so much.
Yeah.
I said, since you're used to cooking in big batches to bring us food for her, why don't you continue to do what you've been doing and sell the plates for $10?
There you go. And they
And
should
so
do
just
it.
tap into those natural resources. I just told her last night and she said that's a really good idea, and that she would look into it. And I said, well, I'll be the first because I'll help you put it together. Let me get a discount of $5. I say I'll commit to buying 5 plates at $5 every week from you, and I'll share with people the meals that you have.
Wow.
And you can sell those plates for $10, and now you can provide for your daughter without putting yourself at risk and helping someone else eat healthy. So there's a lot of skills that we have naturally. I've seen so many new little chefs on my social media. People trying recipes, people gardening, people or if you're in a situation like me where you are fortunate to be able to generate your own income or work from home, help
Mm-hmm.
someone else out that has to go out. Like she wasn't able to pay me much, but she had an accountability fee where
Mm.
now that's money that I can give my kids to do things that they want to do online.
Mm.
So if we can just tap into our natural resources and help one another, we're really going to be fine in the future.
Very good. I mean, just to buttress what you said there, this show itself, sharing with Yemi, it's something
Mhm.
I've put out. I've put this off for a long, long time, for years.
Mhm.
It was running on television previously, and most people who would have known the show from way back in the 90s and early 2000 kept asking, when are you bringing it back? It's a great show. You know, to address it. It used to address social issues and all that. But I felt I didn't have the time. And now with this, you know, I have the time, at least this time, 1 hour every day, every weekday, to give to people a platform to have a conversation and to learn something new and to take something to impact their lives more positively. This is something like this. People have so many things that they already have inbuilt that they're not doing anything with. And this is the opportunity to do it. Now, who says it has to be perfect? Nobody. It doesn't have to start perfect. The first day we had sharing with Yemi on Facebook, where's my phone there now? I literally had to hold my phone like that to have the guests hold the very first episode. I remember, But look at us today. We're streaming on this fantastic platform, and it's like being on television, but on social media. So there's so much. Plus, the one thing that I found that people perhaps don't do enough is ask for help. I
Yes.
find that people are, I don't know what it is, but I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Oh, yes, Kim will be back, don't worry. Um, I'll just maybe just make this point. And if you're just joining us, this is Sharing with Yemi. And it's great to have you here with us. Kim is my guest today. Kim is a life coach, and Kim is sharing about her own experience, how she got where she is today, and just trying to encourage everyone who's listening. And maybe if you take something away from this, you'll be able to share with someone to use what we have already to begin to do something positive, and just coming back to what I was saying there, that it doesn't have to start perfect. Some of us start planning and we take forever to plan. We keep planning and planning and planning and planning, and we want the plan to be perfect before we put it out there. And then sometimes it never happens. Sometimes it happens. And by the time it happens, I've heard people say, I've heard people say, oh, well, somebody else was doing it. Hi, Kim. Great to have you back. I was just sharing there about how some people take too long to plan and don't put the idea to use immediately or the skill to use immediately. Did you take so long to plan, Kim? If not, how did you have the what's the word I'm looking for? That courage to step out, knowing that
I stopped thinking about it. I did. I did. I mean, life coaching has been something that I've been passionate about for years. I mean, probably a decade. And I didn't think that I was big enough, that people knew me enough, that people cared enough. Honestly, I didn't think I was enough, to be honest. And I saw I'm much better. Like, even now, I have stage fright. I'm always so nervous about being on
I
camera. So
know.
you're the only person that can get me to do this. but but for me, helping people is my natural purpose, and I honestly feel like the things that I had to I had to have a talk with myself, with my inner self. And God wouldn't allow me to go through the things that I've been through if it weren't to help someone else, is what I ultimately told myself. Because so many things that I've been through throughout my life, there's so many people that's died from some things that I've went through. And so if God allowed me to not just go through it, live through it, and see a better day, I'm not supposed to keep it to myself.
Mm,
And at the end of the day, whether it's God, Allah, Buddha, whoever people are praying to,
mm,
knowing that knowing that He has a purpose for you, he or
mm,
she has a purpose for you, and I realize I feel my best when I help people, and so whatever I'm supposed to do, I just stop thinking about it. I just
mm.
do it. I would have never left America had I thought about it, because anyone, and I didn't share it, honestly. I just did it. I told you, I told my mother, and I don't know if you guys believed me at the time or not. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come to Africa and see. and honestly, I didn't think about it. I just bought the tickets. I took my time. I paced myself. I planned out just not very far in advance.
Mm.
And then I just went for it. Because when I actually, the day I landed in Nigeria, as the wheels hit the ground, I just bust out crying. It was just
Ah,
biggest waterworks show of my life. And
that was the first time you actually literally left the States.
That was the first time I left the States. I went to maybe 12 countries. I kind of went crazy.
When you finally stepped out, you just went haywire.
I did, like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Like, well, if I'm going to go here, I should go here. If I go here, then I'm already there. I should go here. And so many doors of opportunity opened up for me doing that. And so now I'm just extremely open minded to everything. Honestly, I went to Iceland, through the Netherlands, and then I realized it would be much cheaper for me to go to Nigeria from France. So I took the train to France from the Netherlands. And then I remember the first time looking at the screen as I flew over the Sahara Desert. I remember what it was like reading about the Sahara Desert and just saying, like, oh my God, I am in the motherland. Like, I am flying over the Sahara Desert. And so as we landed in Nigeria, and the plane kind of, hit the ground, I cried. And then there was two sets of tears. One was like, oh my God, I finally made it. I said I wanted to go to Africa, and I went to Africa. And then a second set of self-doubt kicked in and said, you're in Africa by yourself.
That's the fear, isn't it? That's the fear.
It's the fear.
Factor. And
It
that's
is.
what a lot of people get, and it stops them from actually taking a step in the first place.
You know what's helped me? Acknowledging the fear, because you can't get past something you don't acknowledge.
So acknowledge the fear.
Yes, it's okay. It's natural. Like, and then you find out other people had that same fear too, and they got over it. They got past it. They got through it. And so I don't believe in sweeping anything out under the rug, including fear. It's okay to say I'm scared, I'm afraid, I don't know. A lot of people don't ask for help because of those things, in my opinion. A lot of people don't want people to know that they're afraid. They don't want. That's scary.
To be afraid. Absolutely, absolutely. I've always thought about this. Why people don't want people to know that they are afraid. It could be one of the reasons. It could be that they are worried what people will say about them. People might say, "Oh, I expected you to know that, and you didn't know that." Or people might think that they're not as competent as expected them to be. Some people, it could be pride.
It could be pride. I mean, for me, I've been a very prideful person most of my life. I've always looked at sharing my worries and fears as a weakness, and so many people look at me as if I'm so strong. It took a lot out of me when my son had his accident and I got laid off. That was the first time that I publicly asked for help in my entire life after going through so much. Um, and but I didn't feel weak. I felt like a mom. I felt like if I don't ask, no one would understand, no one would know. And what becomes the beautiful part of it is, and some people allow it to disappoint them, that the people you think will help you are not the ones that show up. I had people from Australia send me money to help me and my son. There is no way I know anybody in Australia.
Wow.
But I had an old coworker that I left an impression on, that we're Facebook fans to this day. She added my story to a Tony Robbins group, and people from across the world reached out to me. So I feel like that's my connection as a global citizen, where I've seen the power of how there are more good people in this world than bad. If you just put yourself out there and let the universe do its part, like that saying of, like, you take one step and God to take two more for you. That's how I feel. You got to take that first step.
This is absolutely fantastic, because for me as well as a person, I've always felt and I've always said that my strength is actually in my weakness. My strength is in my weakness. The things that I see that I am not strong enough at, or that I'm not good enough at, for those things I ask a lot of questions. The one key thing that I always say is ask. My best word in the world is why. And every time I ask why for something, I get an answer. And so I love to ask questions. When I'm not sure, I ask. Every time I ask, a new door opens. and I understand. And I am not ashamed to ask, because sometimes I've heard people say to me, you mean you didn't know that? So they say it in a condescending way,
Yeah.
whereas they probably didn't know themselves, But
Yeah.
yeah, but those kind of things I really don't mind, because stay straight up. I say, well, what you don't know, you don't know, and now I know. But perhaps you didn't know either, and I'm happy to ask. And so this is something that people at this very challenging time, people need to maybe get help with tuning their minds,
Mhm.
able to ask for help. It's not
Mhm.
a bad thing to ask for help, and it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to worry. I have comments coming in here, and I've got something. It says it's okay to be afraid and acknowledge it. It's not a sign of weakness, but being human. It can only get you better.
Yes.
Absolutely. So it's okay to be afraid. If you're watching this and you're worried and you're afraid, well, really and truly, 99.9% of the world is afraid right now. So you're not the only one
Mhm.
in the boat. And if
And
you're not
it's good
sure,
to have
also
someone to
ask.
talk to it about, like friends, neighbors. So many people need to talk right now. So
Hmm.
many people are holding in so much, and we know I'm a bit of a chatty Cathy.
Don't we
um,
just know that?
when I go, I mean, but because I'm a people's person, when I go to the grocery store, I know there's one particular store in my neighborhood. If I go to the meat counter and order anything, that person's going to talk to me. There's a lady, she's going to talk to me for 10 minutes. And when I go to the bakery, she's going to talk to me for 20 minutes. But what I found out is that they are just going to work and they're never going home by themselves, and
Hmm.
that's not necessarily healthy at a time like this. And so sometimes we need to talk and sometimes we need to listen to people. And so my grocery store runs are extremely long because I'm usually letting them vent out, and it's not necessarily bad things. They human interaction is naturally normal, and when you
Hmm.
don't have it, your mind can play tricks on you, in my opinion. And
Wow.
so be just, this is giving us an opportunity to call loved ones, to reach out to people we've been thinking about but didn't call because we thought maybe they were too busy. um
Hmm.
and it gives us an opportunity to just listen to other people, because I've had at least 4 people call me in the midst of breaking down, and nothing was truly wrong, they just needed an ear.
Hmm.
Once they got that out, and if you don't have anyone you feel comfortable talking to, journal. It's a good time to journal. But just communication is going to get us through this, and I think so.
I believe so completely. And when you say journal, I mean, for people to understand that it's time for you to put something down. You can get a pen and paper and start to just pour out your thoughts and your ideas. The people who, through that, are able to even discover things that they didn't realize was stored up there in the first place. But look, the beauty of all this is that we all can serve as ears for a lot of people in our community, and we can be a shoulder for so many who are looking for one to cry on. And there are people around you who also could be your ears and your shoulders. So it's an exchange at this very time. So let's go to you being able to turn your lemon into lemonade. And now you're a life coach. You came
Hmm.
from a situation where it was like a pandemic for you at the time. It felt like everything came crashing down, but you
Right.
came out of that. How did you do that?
um I had a few trusted friends, that I actually leaned on, that I just called and that I vented with, that helped me help myself, is what that initially did. I looked at I didn't focus on what I didn't have. I focused on what I did have, and the skills that I naturally acquired, and the people that I knew that could teach me things, that could teach me things around me.
Hmm.
So, when it came to coaching, you were like my mentor. So I didn't really need many mentors in that department. I had the best that everybody was looking to get.
You're very welcome.
I had another good friend of mine that had been proficient in the market, in the stock market, and so the money that I did have, I've learned a long time ago. I went through two situations of homelessness. One really big one that had an impact on me. So I learned not to live off 100% of my income, to live off 50% of my income, so that if anything were to happen, I would be okay. And so I was able to lean on a different friend in terms of coaching and the stock market so that I could make my own money from home. Uh, that helped me get through it. And then that was the beginning of my major volunteering journey. I'm sorry. I started my give back process, and I can't take credit for how I got through all of it. You hear me mention God a lot because I feel like He truly got me through it. I felt like as long as no matter what situation I'm in, as long as I continue to help people, God will keep sending help for me. And so there's times that I can't
Mm.
explain how my bills were paid and how I was able to get through it. I just knew that okay, on Saturday the food shelter is open and I need to go volunteer. I did my part and I allowed for other people to help me, because there is a time in your life when you're as prideful as I was that sometimes people want to help you and you don't want the help. You push people away. You say I'm okay. I'm queen of saying I'm okay. And and now is the time where if someone is offering you help, people have to understand that if I come to you and I offer you help, you're not a burden on me if I'm
Mm.
offering, because most people say I don't want to be a burden. If I offer you help, or if I offer support, um, that means that I want to do it. It's almost like
Mm.
it's almost like my own selfish give back to a degree. Sometimes I feel guilty about it because it's not that I might not be helping you. I might be doing it for me, because sometimes helping other people's make me feel better.
Mm.
So that
Wow.
helped me get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that was a big point. And it's like I some even now I have days where I can get emotional for cooking for my kids. All my friends from Nigeria, they always say more cooking, more blessings. And at first I thought it was like are you just do you just like hearing me say I'm in the kitchen? but but it really is a blessing, because you think about I've thought about the times where I've had to work 2 and 3 jobs and I could not cook for my kids.
Mm.
And so the I finding having a spirit of gratitude would get us through so much, because it's like it's hard to explain from
Mm.
a professional
You have to
standpoint.
experience it to know it.
Yes, but
Mm.
that's something that we all can take accountability for. It's nothing to say I'm so grateful I woke up. There's times that my son goes to bed at night, and if he forgets to turn his light off, he can't just stand up and go hit the switch. And that's something that I took for granted
Mm.
before waking up the next morning, and I walk into his room and I'm like, why is the light on? And I think he didn't turn it off before getting in bed and we were already asleep. So
Mm.
there's so much that I personally uh am able to be grateful for, but I tell other people. I used to be ashamed to tell other people about it because I am a person that don't want pity. I don't like pity. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm his mom. I
And
don't
you're
we
not alone in that boat. There's so many people who don't want pity.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's like, but now I share it not for sympathy, not for pity. I share it to remind people
Mm.
there's a possibility that a day will come and you can't just simply turn off your light. So
Mm.
don't take it for granted. Don't take for granted that you can get up and you can go grab something out the refrigerator. You can't I can go to the bathroom. Like when I had a conversation with him one time, because it puts you in a different mindset when you have children. Um you go through their whole life and you can simply they can hurt themselves, you can kiss it and everything is better.
Mm.
It does something to you mentally when your child it becomes broken and you can't fix it. I couldn't imagine what this day would look like, if and when it came. And when I asked him, because I've ordered all types of contraptions, standing frames, sliding transfer systems to make him as independent as he possibly can be in his situation. And so I said, what's something that you just wish you could do still? We have,
Mhm.
and he's like, I just want to go to the bathroom. I want to go to the
Wow.
bathroom like normal. And it's like, that's something that I'm grateful for. That's something that I have to remind people, because there was something that I had to accept and acknowledge that I couldn't fix.
Now he's on a
And now it's
wheelchair,
okay.
isn't he?
He's in a wheelchair. He's been in a wheelchair since 2016. Since 2015,
Yeah.
he was paralyzed at 16. He just turned 21. He had a 14th birthday,
Wow.
where I turned my living room into like Vegas style. Since we didn't get to go to Vegas, I bought all these games and went to the bank and pulled money, and we did Vegas in the living room, me and him together, just us two.
Oh,
But yeah, there's something to say. There's something to be said when you see your child essentially deteriorating, even now. And I said I wanted to share this so that people could understand. Most people are upset that they can't go to the mall or to the
hmm.
movies, or they have to start their day by getting up and going to the living room to work. My day starts at about 6 a.m. I lay in the bed and pretend to be asleep for an extra hour every morning, because there's a 1 year old waiting on me the minute I open my eyes. If she sees me sit up, it's on. I get up at about 7 after doing some self meditating. I go fix her breakfast, get her dressed, and get her ready for her day. Then I have to go into my son's room. My son is battling 2 pressure ulcers right now.
Wow.
I have to clean out, and for those that don't know what a pressure ulcer is, it means that there's 2 spots where his body's completely broken down and have become a hole. And so I
Wow.
have to literally go and clean out his insides every morning and patch him up. I'm his wound care nurse, because we can't have nursing in our home right now. So
Yeah.
I'm the nurse. I'm a nanny, a nurse. Before I even get to start my day, I drop the 1 year old off to my mom across the street. She watches her for about 5 hours for me so that I can do as much as I can do. I come back home and then I get ready.
Wow.
So my day hasn't started yet. I have so much that I have to do before I can even think about myself. Make sure my 11-year-old, I have to make sure he's logged in for his virtual classes. While I'm getting ready, he's like in school, in the kitchen, in the dining room. And then I get him going, set up. Then I can go off to the office for maybe 3 hours, and I just sit in the office by myself. There's a skeleton crew there, so we're all spaced out.
Yeah.
I take the
Social
conference room.
distancing.
Yes, and so I take the conference room and I just kind of listen to different calls and try to perfect my craft, because I'm an insurance agent in 40 states here in the United States.
Mm.
And so I help people with their health insurance primarily, but I also do life. Um, because I went back to that when I got laid off from my job last month. I felt like, well, there's something that's a need that's going to
Mm.
be, that so many people are laid off right now, and people are going to need this insurance. But I share this to say, I would love to get up and just walk to my living room
Mm.
every morning. So sometimes it's sometimes I do put it out there. Sometimes stories need to be put out there to give people something to be grateful for, because most people see what they can't do, or what they see the negative versus the positive.
Mm.
And despite my situation and how I start my day every morning, I am still grateful.
Wow.
I'm still I'm not going to a morgue. I'm not thinking about, if he was in a hospital. Um I'm not thinking about how I'm going to pay my bills. I have so much to be grateful for right now that I wouldn't dare utter a word of. Um, I wouldn't dare sound like I'm ungrateful in a time like this, because there's people. I think about the homeless people all the times, and the weather's been so crazy during this pandemic, where one minute it's
Yeah.
hot, it's cold, it's raining. Like, if you're not sleeping outside, you got something to be grateful for, because there's so many people that are constantly being exposed to bad temperatures and the virus.
Mm. Wow, that was so powerful. And I mean, I have comments here coming in, people saying, well done, God is awesome. And there's a comment here for you. Wow, my goodness, you're a superwoman, Kimberly. That's a comment from one of our listeners from France,
Thank you.
um, uh, Conde. Uh, I've just taken down some of the things that you said earlier on. And if you're just joining us, this is Sharing with Yemi. My guest today is Kimberly Wells, and Kimberly is a life coach, a life expert. And Kimberly's been sharing her story and trying to just help us develop that attitude where we can turn our lemons into lemonade and see the positive, even in the negative. Because sometimes the tendency is that we focus on the negative, we focus on what we don't have rather than celebrating and appreciating what we have. Some of the things I took from you there, you focus on what you have, not what you don't have. And, that's just a brilliant one. To call people who know more about what you want to do. I mean, I heard you there talking about you leaning on friends and
Yes.
on family, on experts who were ahead of you, asking for mentorship, not minding, where it was coming from, but knowing where you were going and focused on, hitting that goal, achieving that goal, and just asking for help. Because at the end, like I always tell people, and I suppose this is one of the things I said to you when and we started that mentorship journey. What I always say to people is when you become what you want to become, what you want to become at the end of the day, except you mention who helped you through that journey, no one would know how you get there. How you eventually get there is up to you to share as part of your story. But what people will see eventually is you coming out a success. And so to get to that point of success, there are people around you already who've been down that journey before you. And so they become like your ladder, you know.
Uh-huh.
That's where you hear the phrase, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. People who've gone ahead, who've done it ahead, who know where the potholes are, who can say to you, no, don't try that. I've tried that before, it didn't work. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to
Yeah.
be right. Because in making mistakes, then you know how not to do it again. You can say, I've done it this way. That didn't work. So obviously it's not a way to try it. I'm going to try another way. But it's not a reason to give up. So there's so much inbuilt already that we haven't tried, perhaps because we've been stuck in a 9 to 5 job before and we didn't have
Uh-huh.
the chance to do that thing that we would love to do. This is a chance to do it. You said there as well about volunteering. It's time to step out. And it could start with just your neighbor, somebody right next door to you. I can't say this enough. Some people don't even know the first name of their neighbors. They have
Yeah.
to say hi. Over the years they've lived there. Some just wave and they don't even know what the name of the neighbor is. And so it could start by you showing that act of kindness and love to your neighbor, and then you take it a bit further. Get their number, call them. How are you? I saw you were frowning yesterday. Well, I hope everything is okay. How are the kids? Are they, if you need help, let me know. Those little bits and pieces
The tiny things.
count. Yeah, those tiny things count. And you also said there, keep helping people. God will help you because you keep helping people. And that's the give back. Just it's not easy to set out to help people because sometimes people will ask the question, how do I help people? Well, ask, what do people need sometimes? Because you may not
Yeah.
know what people really need. But a simple thing as asking people, how can I be of help? That's a good
Asking how's your day is a big thing because sometimes someone needs to just vent about their day. They might
mm,
not need you to fix it. They just may need to vent about their day.
and they need you to listen. Yes.
Yeah. Like I
Very.
always check on my mailman. Like he's one of my favorite. His name's Steve. and but I mean, he's an essential worker. He can't just take off. Those are and it's just like, hey Steve, how's your day? And he's never replied back, don't talk to me. He always replies back with a smile, like, wow, she always asks me. You know?
You know what? I'm actually going to put that out as a challenge to people. How many of you know your mailman's name? Really and truly. The postman. What's your postman's name?
I mean, he's been my postman for years. When the holidays come, I stick something in there. Or when I came from Soweto to South Africa, I brought him back refrigerator magnets, and it just lit his face up. And
Ah,
that cost me $1, like pretty much nothing. So it's like
yeah,
little things go such a long way when people know that they're thought about. And
absolutely.
A platform that people can use, and I don't have any sponsorships with them or anything, but meetup.com is a networking, it's a international one where you can find volunteer projects where you can still volunteer and practice social distance, and these are all free. One that I find, if you put in there that you like volunteering, it may say, oh, we need someone to donate 4 loaves of bread, or we're trying to get this much so that we can feed people. And you may
Mm,
simply, when you do your normal grocery run, pick up a few extra items and just drop them off in a box at a place close to you that are feeding homeless or feeding families that are less fortunate. So
mm,
there's so many ways that we can give back and still practice safe social distance.
mm,
Here in the States, I don't think they have it there, but right now abuse and domestic cases are really up. A good friend of mine, she's a friend that I started mentoring her, but she's like a sister and a friend of me. She's now a CPS worker, so she's always sending me articles and sharing stories with me about the children that are not used to being at home with the parents. So
mm,
a lot of households are dealing with abuse right now. So in the States, I've recently signed up to become a court advocate for CASA that allows me to do Skype visits with foster
mm.
children to make sure that they're safe. So in addition to checking on loved ones, I mean, it's really a big deal to check on people with kids because I, my oldest son is 21, my youngest is 11. Having a 1 year old has been extremely difficult for me.
Mm,
Um, but I'm in a mental place where I'm able to handle it. When she came to me, her mom called me breaking down saying, I feel depressed.
mm,
I'm having suicidal thoughts. I don't want to hurt myself or my baby. So check on people that are not used to having their kids 24 hours a day in and day out. As
mm.
much as we love these babies, they do, and they can get on your nerves. So definitely check on them.
Very good. Um, Joanna has joined us here, and Joanna says, I don't know the names of my postman, but I chat with them. So, Joanna, there you go. When next you see your postman, ask the name. Whether it's one person or two people, whatever numbers do the rounds in your area, ask for their names. It's great you're chatting with them. That's one first great step. Imagine when they come to your door the next time I post, hi, John, how are you today? You're going to see the difference, the smile. You see the difference there. People
Yes.
love to connect. And now we know the value of that because we've been asked to stay at home and we're all missing that human connection. So imagine when we all get out and everybody, is calling and like, oh, Joanna, how are you today? Haven't seen you in a while. When I came into town and I meet people or I meet constituents, I'm surprised when some of them, a lot of them know my name. Sometimes I'm surprised. My husband always says you shouldn't be. But I have people calling me, hi, Yemi, how are you? That's brilliant. That's great. And sometimes I feel terrible that I don't remember the names, but I always ask, oh, sorry, what's your name, please? Have we met? And they tell me. Most of them don't mind because they know that I don't know. And then I try to stick the name to the face so that I can remember the next time. That's the power of knowing someone's name when they don't expect you to know.
Yeah.
So please connect with the people around you. I loved when you said people offer help because they want to. And sometimes we feel a bit worried to take help from people. We should remember that they chose to offer that help to you. You didn't ask them for it. They came to you and they said, uh, can I be of help? And if you really believe they can be of help, then tell them how they can be of help. And for some people, they may not be the answer. They may know someone who is the answer, and they can refer you to a place where you can get the answer. So, Kim, I wanted to share with my audience today um, what life lessons they should take with them in these times. As a life coach, what life lessons would you give to people to begin to get their mindsets in a place where they can be a bit more productive in these challenging times?
I would say self reflection is a big thing. Meditation and writing. Um, and I didn't know this question was coming up, but I'll just share. I won't zoom in on it. But I have
No
these.
problem.
I have these every day. I make myself a to do list, and it could be the tiniest things, but you'll be surprised at how good you'll feel when you're able to write down what it is you want to accomplish and just simply putting a line through it. that's a big life lesson. I would say a big life good practice habit, especially if we're going to be at home for some time, because this may become the new norm.
Mm,
Writing down everything. I'm a fan of writing, calendars, organizing, um, so that you can prepare, because a lot of these fears come from not being prepared.
mm,
So when you can prepare a little bit, whether it's today I want to remember pull sewing patterns or cook. I put cook dinner on my list a lot, because sometimes I get overwhelmed and I don't feel like cooking. But if I write it down and I can cross it off, that's something that I had on my list that I was able to accomplish for the day.
mm.
Um, ask for help. But also, I got this one from you, Yemi, and I saw the power in it. If you're going to ask people for help, here's the thing: don't expect them to do it for you. There were many there I watched hundreds of people kind of go for you and ask to be your mentor. And a lot of times, even when people ask me to be their mentor, they want me to actually do what it is for them versus help them help themselves. And so if you're going to ask someone for help, take the initiative to order a few books or do some things towards what it is you're asking them to help you with, so they can say, I want to help you because you're helping yourself. That's a really big rule of mine personally. um, those are some good ones to just start off with. I have a list, because as I learn from you, I still download, purchase, go through different life coaching. I get life coach worksheets every day to my email so that I can help more people in different ways. I can't just lean on what you give me. I need to be able to put some things in my own bag. And so I would definitely say to people to start with a piece of paper and a simple ink pen.
That's
Whatever it is you want to do, write it down. Wait, what's your quote? Because this one is definitely yours,
it.
about the faint pen. I will never forget it. The faintest pen is better than something memory.
Yeah,
What?
the faintest ink is better than the sharpest memory.
There we go. And so I write down everything. Start writing it down. Start talking about it. Express. Don't be afraid to express your feelings and your needs.
Kim, you make me so proud.
Thank you.
I am so delighted that you've been able to share your journey to becoming a life coach with my audience today. It's not been an easy journey. It's not been a simple journey. And I think back to that first day, and this is so real, people, because you're watching now and you might think, oh, Kim is, oh, yes, she's all super and she's a great woman. It took some journey. It took some really challenging times to get through all those and to get here today. And I remember so well the first time we met a couple of years ago. Look at you today. And you're a perfect example of possibilities. How people can come from a difficult situation right at the bottom here and rise to the very top, and going as high as high as high as they want. It's
Hmm.
up to people. So I hope that you take something really good from all that you've heard today. I hope you've taken some really great points, because Kim has been able to align so many great points. And you take some of those pointers and you begin to practice them, especially the bit about asking for help. I think that's really key to a lot of the things that are happening to us today. When you take that first bold step, it's the step to ensuring that you're not alone, that your fears are allayed, and that you can really do something with what you already have in your hands. And you don't have to keep worrying about what you don't have yet. What we have right now, that is the biggest value, is life. And we can do so much with that. Kim, you want to leave
Yes.
my audience with one last word?
I want to give my Instagram, which is K_Wells and Co. I check those messages regularly. If you
Yeah.
feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, I have a lot of bits and pieces of my life on there. It's open to the public. If you just need to vent or just send be careful, but I accept public inboxes on my Instagram. My Facebook is closed to my close friends and family because when we did this the last time, I got a lot of requests. But I do try to keep my Facebook a bit private for my son's sake because of the nature of his situation that I share with my family there. But my Instagram is open, and if I rather I shared this thing where it's like I'd rather hear about your story than see your obituary, because a lot of suicide is also up right now. So if you need to just converse, you can send me an inbox on Instagram, and I hope everyone is staying clean, staying safe, and communicating.
Thank you so much, Kim. It's been great having you and sharing with Yemi. Thank you for helping people learn
Thanks for having me.
simple ways to turn their lemon into lemonade. God bless you so much. And keep smiling. Keep smiling, please. Thank you so much. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
God
Yeah.
bless you too. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
It's been amazing having Kim on sharing with Yemi today. I just want to thank everybody who's been a part of the show. And I want to say a big thank you to my team as well. Every day, every weekday when we do this, I couldn't do this without you guys. You guys are always there making this possible. So I wish I could. I mean, you're for me, you're my frontline workers. You make this possible. You pull everything together and you ensure that we have a great show every single week. So I acknowledge you again. Thank you, every single person, from the guests to liners to the graphics to everybody, the producer, my set guys, everybody. Thank you all so much. God bless you immensely. And thank you, those who are regulars, who are always with us every single day. I appreciate you so much. And those who pull the audience in as well. Share this, share with the people that you love. We all need help every single step of the way. So perhaps one thing that people could take from this today might make a difference in their lives. So please do share with your friends and your loved ones and your contacts. I'll see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow is our business Thursday. And I hope that we will get you will get a chance to take something away. Something helps you become a bit innovative, creative, or perhaps come up with a new idea for your business. Take care until then, and stay home, stay safe. God bless you.